suppose there had been Mahesh, Bhupathi and Leander Paes. It can equally be argued that without the families, there wouldn't have been a Mahesh, Bhupathi and Leander Paes. But at the same time, if you had been as, just a professional pair working together, playing on the field, keeping your on-field chemistry, but not with the rest of the teams and families and coaches involved, would things have been different?
Yeah, I think we would have lasted the distance, to be honest. I think, the bond and the camaraderie that we shared started the first big tournament we played together in Jakarta. It was just him and me there. We did everything from morning to night, from, playing tennis to practicing to watching movies to going to the mall in Jakarta for lunch to going to the virtual golf. Leander was, at that time, obviously, he was a top seed of the tournament. I was in the qualifying of the singles. So it was like, it was my one-off tournament before I went back to college. And, he was extremely generous. I still remember we played this virtual golf, and we were supposed to pay for it. And he said, let me pay for it. Let my sponsors, exactly his words, let my sponsors take care of it. You can do it in a couple of years. And, that kind of translated. We didn't see each other after Jakarta for literally, we didn't play again for 15 months. And we played again in Aruba. And again in Aruba, there was nobody else. It was just us. We were doing everything from water skiing to winning the tournament. And that bond, if that carried on, I think it would have, we would have lasted the distance. But obviously, when you start playing Grand Slams and winning Grand Slams and, you see everyone's entourage today is 20 deep. 20 years ago, it was 3 or 4 people deep. And, people are telling him, oh, why are you sacrificing your singles? Why are you doing this crap? People are telling me, you shouldn't be in his shadow. You should talk up, speak up more. I mean, yeah. That's exactly what it was, right? I mean, none of us meant any malice. Both of us have our pros and cons as human beings, but we were just getting along fine and winning that time too. So, we didn't really change as human beings. We just, our ecosystems kind of, I think, forced us to think differently. And honestly, the more I watch the show, I understand. I mean, I can point out episodes of other people talking about stuff that literally did not happen. When Sanjay Singh says that I went and played with Max Mirny at Indian Wells, I did not. I played with Jan Michael Gamble. But he probably came and told Leander I played it with Max Mirny, or I signed up with Max, and then Leander makes his own interpretation about different things and starts reacting emotionally like he is, right? Oh. So, and it's vice versa. So it's just, we look back today and laugh, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, wow. I mean, look at the impact that has. I mean, what I take away from that, Leander, is Mahesh is saying, and I'm sure you won't disagree with it, that as individuals, you are perfectly okay with each other. I mean, if you see, this is, but by the time you became big stars, you were not individuals anymore, Leander. You had you had your own teams around you. And I saw at one point you also said, okay, so in the second episode of the series, you go into the time of the 1997, I think, French Open, right? And Mahesh becomes India's first Grand Slam champion. And Leander Paes, you say that a kida of doubt was put in your head. In another episode, you say that someone put a kida in Mahesh's head that you threw at the Athens Olympic match because he didn't want you to win the medal. So who was putting these kidas? What do you mean by these kidas that were put in his head? Because this is about discord. The claim is basically, the point is that the discord was being fed and somebody was putting seeds of doubt in Mahesh's head and maybe perhaps also in your head.
So exactly like Mahesh just said there in the last answer, Arnab, that we started off our careers where Mahesh came from college and I was on the tour, and we only had each other. We'd go do golf together, we'd go eat together, we'd watch movies together, we'd spend literally, other than 8 hours of sleeping at night, we spent the rest of the whole day together. But as we grew and grew in stature and as our results in Grand Slam started getting better, we started having coaches around, trainers around, family traveling, people around. And in that, I felt like we had lost the essence of what got us together, which is our individual bond and friendship. I feel that is where one of the areas where I take responsibility in saying maybe I should have picked up the phone more often as the senior partner or the senior brother and said, "Chalo yaar, ice cream khate hain. Chalo yaar, Sholay aur ek baar dekhte hain." Or maybe let's, when the day finishes and the coaches and the trainers and the physios and the managers and the families and everyone had done our work for the day, maybe taken in for a drink and just had a laugh again and bonded again and connected again.
Why didn't you,
But
Leander?
the essence of Breakpoint
Why
really...
didn't you? Why didn't? You're a
The essence of
sensitive person. In fact, if there's any fault you have, it is of over-communication. I find it bizarre that you didn't.
That's what I thought, Arnab. And when you watched episode number 4, Wimbledon, in 1989, my first conversation with Mahesh was, "Hi, I'm Leander. Would you like to win Wimbledon with me?" And he said, "You're crazy." I said, "Yes, I'm crazy, but would you like to win Wimbledon with me or not?" 10 years later, we won Wimbledon. But the beauty of Breakpoint really shows how champions are also vulnerable, Arnab. And in episode 4, as soon as we won Wimbledon, the magical look on Mahesh's face, where he actually covered his head with a towel and walked to the side, the bench where we sat on the left-hand side of the umpire's chair. When we sat down, in that fraction of a second, Arnab, if you notice in the beginning of that clip, episode 4, as soon as he had won Wimbledon, I looked at Mahesh to my right. He had his head in his hands. When I looked away, he looked back at me. The rawness in the passion that we have towards each other was what we had lost in communication. I wish that as the makings of Breakpoint, and I've watched all the archival footage, I've watched all the matches, the reactions, the points, the human emotion between us. I wish I had the benefit of watching that at the end of 99. In the off-season of 99, when we were going through such a tough time and we weren't communicating, I wish I had seen that one look in this young man's face when he looked at me after we won Wimbledon.
What was the look?
I probably would have picked up the phone.
What was
and
the
maybe
look?
What
was the look?
It was love. It was care. It was respect. It was, "You're crazy, but we just did it." It was pure.
But why did he look at you when you were looking away? Mahesh,
That's
why did
human
you?
timing.
Why
Arnab.
did you?
That's human timing. I looked at him and he didn't see me. He looked at me, I didn't see him. And I think the moral of a lot of the Leander Mahesh story is that communication is the essence of life. Communication to reach out to the other and say, "Bhai, hum dono ne bahut acha badhiya kaam kiya hai. Yes, we have coaches, we have trainers, we are conquering the world, we have contracts all over, like Leander said also. But today, let's just go get some ice cream together." Why? Because I just enjoy being with you. I'll tell you this on the Arnab show today, that when we get back to Bombay together, I know that in the last few days, Mahesh, having watched Breakpoint, has a lot more emotions that are there, which I can see on his face now. Today, I'll tell you that, "Hesh, come over for dinner. I'll get you your butter chicken and roti. We'll sit down and we'll
Oh, wonderful.
have some more conversation and maybe come up with season 2.